Hello, welcome to my channel, and thanks for coming by. I'm Ethan Gaines, and I am an independent author and publisher. And today I wanted to introduce myself to the AuthorTube, BookTube community, and I'm not really sure how it works. I don't know if they're one and the same or what, but just want to introduce myself to you guys, and hopefully I am accepted. I picked up a list of questions because one of the things with recording myself is I get a little uncomfortable, and so I went to the interwebs and I found the newbie questions. So I'll be going through that today and discussing my career. So let's go. Number one, how did you find out about AuthorTube? So AuthorTube and BookTube kind of just appeared on my YouTube feed, I guess that's what you call it. I was just going through YouTube trying to find some helpful videos on writing and such, and that's when I kind of stumbled onto the community. And how I found out, one of the first people I started watching was Natalia Lee, and I think that's how you pronounce it. If I am incorrect, I'm sure somebody will let me know. And number two, what genres do you write in? So I write in historical fiction with a foot in westerns and military history, with a little bit of history and thriller, or military history and thriller, excuse me. And I don't know, within the last couple of years, I've had an admiration for Celtic mythology and fantasy. And I've wanted to write my own fantasy novel or series. I'm not really sure how I want to attack that. Excuse me. But I haven't been able to nail down a plot or a theme that I've really wanted to tackle and believed in. So I just haven't quite done it. I've done most of the world building for it, but no substantial work. And I also have a kind of like a modern thriller. It's not quite historical fiction. Takes place in 2022, so not in the far off, distant future. I think that's how you say it. So number three, moving right along. What is your preferred writing tense, point of view, and category of story? So children's, young adult, what have you. But I write in the third person point of view mostly. And I guess I write in the past tense with the adult category. Are you a plotter, pantser, or planter? So I like to think of myself as a plotter. I used to be strictly a pantser, but started using an outline a little bit more, kind of like the 3-act structure. And it's helped me flesh out the story a little bit more, a little more thoroughly. Helped me kind of shape the characters a little bit more and the plot and theme a little bit more as well. But the modern thriller I mentioned has kind of become a pantsing book. And for those of you that don't know, a pantser is just somebody that flies by, well, more accurately writes by the seat of their pants. They don't really have an outline. They have an idea and they just write it, which that's how I wrote for a long time. And so I kind of just recently got into plotting, and there's actually a board here on my office right over here. You can't see it obviously, but that is an outline for a western I have going on right now. It's the third book in my Marston series, written under a pen name. Probably talk about that later, at a later time. Number five, are you a self-published, published, or yet to be published? So I publish my work through my own publishing press. It's called Last Best Press. It's a play on the Montana state motto, Last Best Place. I know a lot of people are probably going to argue with me on that, but I don't, it's okay though. You're wrong. But in a way, I don't know if that makes me self-published or independently published, but I think it's kind of the same thing, I think. I could be wrong. But also, Last Best Press is a online. It's a blog. It's a news blog that I am slowly turning into like a lifestyle and news blog. Hopefully to turn into a full-on online magazine, full-on editorial, and with reporters and that sort of thing. But that's in the works right now, so shh. And just so you know, number 6, what publishing company, literary agent, and or printing company are you represented by or use? If you're not yet published, what is your dream publishing house and or literary agent? And I have queried to several agents throughout my career as a writer. I don't know if I would say I queried as much or as hard as I should have. I think at one point I had so much going on in my life and I just wanted to get stuff going right away. And so that's why I started self-publishing. Number 7, what AuthorTube related videos can we expect to find on your channel? So I like helping people in areas that I feel like I know a good bit about, and writing and storytelling, those are definitely things that I feel like I'm good at. And so I hope to create videos around that with some vlog type videos thrown in. My oldest son likes to grab my phone, go into the camera, and kind of do a vlog type thing. My wife and I, we tend to watch quite a few vloggers, and and he's 7, but he can open up my phone and do that. And so probably throw some of that in just because it's funny. And I've enjoyed watching Natalia Lee's, I'm gonna get butchered for that. Watching her day in the life videos, which I don't know how well that would go for me, because this is pretty much my life. Right now I'm using my phone to record, and it's sitting on top of my computer. So this is usually where I'm at on any given day. If not, I'm working at my side job at Old Navy. So so I don't know how exciting those vlogs would be, but we'll see. Number 8, when did you start writing? I think I really started writing around the 5th grade, and that's kind of when I stopped playing with my action figures. I think by the time 6th grade rolled around, they were just kind of in a box, and I didn't really do anything with them. And my action figures were like Max Steel, Action Man. I had a few G.I. Joes, that sort of thing. But I've always had like this overactive imagination that I would go out and I would play, and I'd make up games with my friends. And I think at one point it became socially unacceptable for me to do that, so I just started writing. And then number 9, what was the first story that you ever wrote? And I think the first story I ever wrote was a 1-page tale about a prince who wanted to go to war, but his father, the king, would not allow him because of his princely stature. And I remember specifically that it was a 1-page, because I wrote it on 1 page and I only had 1 word left. And I didn't want to flip the page over and write 1 word on the other side. So I used a caret, a little arrow thingy, and I wrote the last word over that to make the 1-page story. And I think I have that somewhere in my files. But maybe that's going to become a story someday. I don't know. Number 10, what authors have inspired your writing the most? Without a doubt, Louis L'Amour. I started reading Louis L'Amour in like the 3rd grade. I remember like reading books from school and books I had at home, and I didn't want to read them anymore. I got bored with them or what have you. And so I picked up a Louis L'Amour that my stepdad had at the time, and I just started reading Louis L'Amour. Like, I read one book, and he had a whole stockpile of them, so sat down one, I grabbed the other, and I fell in love. And then pretty soon I started reading Tom Clancy and then Robert Ludlum. And so those two gentlemen hold a place in my heart at all times. That's probably why I began writing like military history type things. That and just watching war movies and reading about the historical aspects of different wars and different time periods. Number 11. Do you schedule your writing sessions or simply get to writing whenever you can find the time? So right now I'm very fortunate to be able to just schedule the time in. Since I work from home, it's a little bit easier for the majority of the time, and work my freelancing around that and my other job as well. But I hope to be more freelancing and more writing. Hope to be able to get that built up as I devote my time a little bit more to building the online magazine I was mentioning earlier. I always hesitate to talk about it, to call it what I think it is. Right now it's a news and lifestyle blog, looking at getting some news stories. So if you have any ideas, any stories, any meaningful stories, not necessarily like tearjerkers, feel good, but stories of people making an impact, the veteran, the first responders, and really any organization, any person that is kind of stepping up to the plate and doing something awesome. So there's that. And I hope to build that up and be able to devote more time to that and my fiction writing. Number 12. Do you type on a computer, typewriter, write everything out by hand, or use a blend of those? And where do you write in general? Well, first off, I write right here. Like I said, you're on top of my computer right now. And so this is where I write. I'll probably show you guys kind of the area when it gets a little bit cleaned up. Just recently we painted the walls in our apartment. So all the stuff that was once on the walls is now in my office, which makes it hard to move and not very aesthetically pleasing. So we're going to hold off on that for now. But I write on a computer. I love the aesthetic of a typewriter, and I've written quite a few manuscripts, quite a few short stories on a typewriter. But I have so many stories, so many ideas in my head that I go from story to story at times, and I've tried that with a typewriter and it just doesn't work. And also it drives my wife nuts when I type on a typewriter, because she can hear it from the living room. You know, it's we have a relatively small 3-bedroom apartment on one floor, and so it's you can hear things. But for, writers, especially now, who write on a typewriter, I have mad respect for them. Just because then I think about edits and like having to essentially rewrite the entire thing. It just blows my mind. So number 13. What are you most looking forward to now that you're a part of AuthorTube? Well, supposing that I get accepted into the community, that's what I look forward to. Community. So I've missed being part of a community of people working to a similar goal, and I'm looking forward to just being around those people, just being around other writers and creatives, just working toward a similar goal of creating stories, I don't think substantial is the right word, but creating works of substance, we'll say. It's hard. It's been hard for me to connect into the writing community because I feel like I've been just on the edge of the community, I guess, because most of the point of views that other writers I've known have kind of been not my own. And while I can get along with just about anybody, it's my insecurities have always kind of held me back a little bit, and it's held me back from doing this as well, just because I don't know if I should look at the screen or I should look at the camera. I just don't know. So I tend to not look at the camera, but then it gets weird. And it probably has already gotten weird. But point of views, I don't like NaNoWRIMO. I feel like a lot of writers do, a lot of authors get excited for that time of the year, and I just don't. I think regulating to write a novel to 1 month puts on way too much stress on me. I can't speak for other writers, but I personally don't participate in that National Write a Novel Month. And so that's kind of where I stand on that. That kind of idea of the point of view, and other things go into it as well. Yeah, so that's it. This is my application to Author and BookTube. I want to thanks to, if I pronounce your name wrong, I am sorry, Meg Latorre at iWriterly for writing these questions. It gave me a great baseline to go off of for my first video. If you want to support me and my endeavors, go ahead and subscribe, ring the bell, and keep an eye out on the things that I have coming out. And as I mentioned before, which is, it's a lot. I'm looking for a catchy outro, I guess would be the right way to say it. But for the meantime, have a fantastic week and create something awesome.